Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of FTB Interactions, where I've been busy doing a little bit more building and trying to clean up this area some more. So I moved the boilers and coke ovens just to be in line with everything, put a nice facade around it, and the pyrolysis oven I also moved over slightly to fit in our steam turbines, which used to sit in front of our LV machines. And right now I just have these feeding directly into a CEU, which then goes into another Spectre energy injector back there. And I also hooked up the output of this pyrolysis oven, which obviously is charcoal, into these coke ovens. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this area is starting to come along. Last episode we also started moving over some of the setups that used to sit over there, primarily our diesel and our epoxy setup over there. These have all been running really nicely, but I did add a few more optimizations to this. First of all, I did add this chemical reactor for oxygen, as I noticed we weren't actually producing any oxygen anywhere else. So this is for the oxygen cumene chemical reactor here, and any excess will just go into our system. And I did also notice that the benzene was a little bit slow coming out of this distillation tower right here. So I added this distillery here for wood tar. Previously we were just voiding the wood tar that comes out of this distillation tower. So we might as well just use it, and that gets sent into a fluid transfer node and straight down to that chemical reactor down there. And as you've seen, I was also busy fixing our fluid storage system. So last episode I mentioned about what we should do about these fluid drives and fluid storage. And you guys suggested just doing one disk per fluid, which is what I've actually done here. I think this is going to be the best way to do it. And I've also labelled them all. So I named them all in the anvil. So we have all the fluids in our ME system here, and it's easy to see exactly how much of each we have. And I don't know how we have so much empowered oil, but yeah, there we go. So we've been kind of treading the same ground over the last few episodes, and today I'd like to start something new. So I'd like to progress down this quest here and get our vacuum freezer first of all. And we're going to need the freezer to make titanium, as titanium is made in the blast furnace, but it does come out as a hot ingot, which you have to cool down in the freezer. So actually, let's start with the blast furnace step, which is magnesium dust and titanium tetrachloride in a blast furnace. Has to be HV, and also our temperature is 2141, which is higher than the cupronickel coils can handle, which means we have to upgrade to the Kanthal coils. But, oh, okay, so to get Kanthal we actually need to freeze it also, so yeah, let's build the freezer first. And the freezer's going to take this atomic alloy, which we can now make with our polytetrafluoroethylene. And then it's just some chrome foils and reinforced, which we should have some left over. I'm not sure if I have any rubber though, to be honest. And previously I was doing it with sulfur and raw rubber pulp, but I noticed there was this egg recipe for the chicken, so I'm going to make a chicken for this and set up a little chemical reactor to make rubber. And then I'll gather up the rest of these materials and we'll make our vacuum freezer. Okay, and there is our rubbery chicken. Alright, so we got our rubbery chicken, and I went to place this guy in our chemical reactor that makes rubber. And I noticed that we already have one of these things. I must have forgot that I crafted this. I did wonder that I already had the quest for the rubbery chicken here, and I was searching for it for like 10 minutes. I could not find it anywhere, and this guy's sitting up here, so I guess we got a spare one. We don't even need this guy, I'm just going to delete him. Okay, so I made about 2 stacks of enriched alloy. I'm going to turn some of it into the reinforced, and then I'm mixing the chrome foils and the reinforced very slowly here with our Teflon. That's going to give us our atomic alloy. And then I also need some more HV pumps. And then this is just aluminum. We've got 44 stacks of aluminum here. And we really have to look into auto crafting. That took a long time. But anyways, there's our vacuum freezer. I got all the input buses, the output buses, energy input hatch. And there's the quest even. Okay, so first of all we want to cook some Kanthal. So let's make some Kanthal dust. This is aluminium, chrome, and iron. I think I'll make 2 stacks. Yeah, we'll start with 2 stacks for now. And actually, before we cook this, I would actually like to set up our blast furnaces in a permanent location. There's a couple of different places we could put these. The obvious choice would be right here, along the front. Or perhaps we could create another room further down this way for our blast furnaces. Actually, I think this room is going to be a better place for this. We're just going to line up our blast furnaces along here. So I've built the first one here just to get our Kanthal going. And we're going to do input on the top. I will actually run an ME connection over here. And I'm also going to hook up our nitro diesel to our ME system. Right now we're just transporting it using the ender tanks, however we can't actually make these yet, and I don't think I have any more. So we can just import using the ME system and then pull it out on that end next to our diesel generators. So we can plug in our P2P network down here, and we'll have to link this. So I got the connection from the controller, we just have to link this, and then we're just going to run it all the way up and to the start of our blast furnace chain right here. And in fact, first of all, we'll put a fluid interface here to supply us diesel. And that means we'll also need to partition a new disk for our diesel. Give it a name, and it's partitioned, stick it in the drive, and then all we have to do is connect our diesel up to our interface, set it to import on blue, and is this going? Oh yeah, this is draining our tank here, which means we should have diesel in here. Okay, we're getting it in our system, it's just not appearing in the interface, so let me troubleshoot this a bit. So I figured out what the problem was here. It's on this P2P, which actually is not connected, or does not have any access to channels to the subnet down there. So I think if we take away this quartz fiber, after a second, okay, it's come back online. This should now say it's linked, which it does. Previously it says device unlinked. So in fact I need to take out this one also. And now we see our diesel show up in our interface right here. So we can send these to round robin on all the diesel generators, and this is going to start cooking our Kanthal. So now we'll want our vacuum freezer placed. And I'm not actually sure how I'm going to do this. If I want to stack all the blast furnaces along here and then have a vacuum freezer, I don't know, maybe on top. Let me have a little think about this. What I think we'll do is stick the vacuum freezer in the center here, and then we can have a couple of blast furnaces on each side. So I did extend the ME connection over here, and I hooked up some power. So now we have to get our ingots from the output of this, which is obviously hot ingots. If we pick this up, we're probably dead, to be honest. So there's a few different ways we can do this, but I think the way we're going to do it here is just put it straight into our ME system. So I'm going to put a interface right here, and then this is the output bus. If we just hook up our output to straight into the interface, this is going to put all our Kanthal in here. And to get it inside our vacuum freezer, what I'm going to do is actually put a storage bus on this chest. So if we take a regular item storage bus here, we configure it to high priority. I should have probably done this first, to be honest. And we filter this for hot Kanthal. All of the Kanthal will be stored in here and then pulled into the freezer. And then all we have to do is take it from the output bus back into our system, so we can just put another interface right there and plug that in. So now when this finishes, it's at 40%. Okay, let's watch the vacuum freezer, make sure it turns on. Okay, it needs more energy. We can fix that. Oh, I think we missed it. We check our ME system, we should see a Kanthal ingot in there. And we do, there's our Kanthal. These ones were from before I hooked up. I should have done it in the reverse order there. Let's try and be quick and get these in the vacuum freezer. I mean, that was actually half HP, that could have been bad. So now I'm going to wait for enough Kanthal to make our coils for the next tier of blast furnace. And in the meantime, I think we'll start setting up our titanium tetrachloride setup. So I was trying to get cleaned up and prepared to set up our titanium, and then I was going to make some more interfaces, and I noticed that it actually takes this energized polylattice isometric crystal. The reason we have some interfaces is because I got them from some moon dungeons. I think I got 4 or 5 of them, but we are definitely going to need some more to set up our automations, so we want to look into this. We can do the polyethylene, the monitors, and the skystone plates, but this stuff requires either the chicken or a chemical bath with raw lattice, which I think even requires the chicken, or vitrified stand, which I think is only on Aurelia. I could be wrong about that. Either way, we don't have access to this quite yet. So to make the chicken, oh wait, we actually need this to make the... Wait, then how do we get this to begin with? Oh, I guess there's this recipe here, which is Certus quartz and nether star lenses. Okay, we can do this, but I think it is a good idea to make the chicken anyway. Okay, after looking at these recipes some more, I don't think we can get this quite yet. We're going to need one of these dislocators, which requires some more Botania progression, and also draconium dust, which we don't have yet. And then the radon we don't have. We have to still look into flux. So I think for now I'll just craft it using the Certus quartz dust in the alloy smelter with the nether star lens. We did get another star plate for one of the quest rewards, so I'll use this for the lens in the lathe. Oh, hold on, this actually consumed our nether star lens. I thought this was reusable, but that changes things quite a bit. Yeah, I think that was a bit of a waste there. Alright, well, we might have to do without until we progress some more. Either that or I go raid a bunch of moon dungeons to try and find some more interfaces. That could also be an option for now. Okay, I think I will actually try to see if I can get a moon dungeon here. Hopefully this doesn't take me too long though. I think I found one down there. I almost missed that. We are getting a little bit of titanium this way, but not much else so far. I'm about a quarter of the way through this. Aha, look what we got. 3 ME interfaces. This is going to do us nicely. That should be enough for us to get our titanium up and running, but I'm going to finish scanning this dungeon just to see what else we can get here. Hopefully we get some more. And there's also some other good stuff here. Oh, that's quite handy. So apparently you can loot the Cheater's Thaumonomicon from the moon dungeons. And I also managed to find this air sigil, which is effectively creative flight. It does damage you if you don't have enough LP though in your network. So maybe when we flesh out blood magic, this will be something we can use for flight. Oh, some more dense cable. Alright, so we made it back here, and now let's start setting up our titanium. I got us 3 interfaces to work with, along with a bunch of other smart cable and things like that, but it's enough to get us started here. So I think what I'll do is I'll put the titanium processing on the other side of the blast furnace, so like along here. So I'm going to build this little area out and give us some space. Okay, I think this should be enough space to get us started. We'll also need a few machines. So we're going to want carbon, chlorine and rutile in this. Oops. So I've hooked up 2 different interfaces onto our ME network. And then we can put in carbon and rutile into our interface. And rutile for now can only come from electrolyzing bauxite. I did anticipate this step a little while ago, so I do have some of this processed. We don't have too much of it though. This will give us our carbon and rutile. And the fluid interface will give us the chlorine. You just have to set these conduits. And we're going to also want a limited item filter in here on the insert on the conduit, just to make sure this doesn't happen. When we take this out, there should only be 32 rutile that go in here. This will start making us our tetrachloride, which we then have to put in our blast furnace with magnesium. And once again, there is a few different ways to get magnesium. There is actually a quest for it, which we can just tick the box and get 32. So we'll grab that. And I'm thinking that actually olivine is a good source of magnesium here. This is quite plentiful in the veins that it spawns in, so I might go and grab some of this and process this down for magnesium. But before we handle the blast furnace step, this does give us a carbon monoxide output, as well as the titanium tetrachloride. And I think honestly I'm just going to trash this carbon monoxide. There's not too much use for it, to be honest. We could maybe turn it into more acetic acid, but we're way overproducing this now, so I don't think it's necessary to keep this stuff. So I've just placed a trash can with a filter on there to get rid of that. And I think the titanium tetrachloride we're actually going to send into our ME system. So let me go and partition a disk for that actually. So I partitioned the disk and sent our titanium back to our system. Let's go check if we have enough Kanthal now. It's been quite a bit of time since I started that process. So hopefully we have enough for the coils. I think we actually do need the full 2 stacks. Yep, we've got the 2 stacks here. We just have to process it into wires and then make the coils. We'll throw this in the wire mill here. Still LV, this has to be upgraded very soon. And while that's going, we're also going to need to put a fluid input on our blast furnace here. So we can put this on the bottom and wrench it down. And I was going to stick another interface here, but we can actually save some channels by piggybacking off this one. And we'll just run some conduit down here. And then we'll filter this for our titanium tetrachloride. And the wires are finished, which means we can make our coil blocks. There's 16 Kanthal coils. Oh, wait a sec. I bet the quest gives us some free. Yeah, it gives us 8 free. Oh well. And all that's left to do now is input our magnesium dust. So I'm just going to swap out the Kanthal from here and put magnesium in. And now our blast furnace is running, making us titanium. We do also have to add it to our vacuum freezer though, as this does give us hot ingots. So we'll add this to our storage bus filter. And we should now see we get more titanium. This was from our moon dungeons, but this should go up any minute now. So now there is actually one more step we have to deal with, and that is that This blast furnace recipe actually gives us some of our magnesium chloride back. And if we process this with some sodium, we actually get some of our magnesium dust back. It gives us, what, 60% back, and we get a bucket and a half of chlorine. So we might as well add this chemical reactor to give us some of our output back. So now for this step, I've just moved the trash can over a little bit more, and we're going to add sodium to our interface. I think we are actually producing this from clay electrolysis, but I'll have to stick a storage bus on the barrel over there. But then we can just run our item conduit along to this chemical reactor. And we'll limited item filter this for magnesium chloride and sodium. So I was wondering why we weren't getting any magnesium chloride dust here. I tried to add it to this interface to put into our chemical reactor. But it turns out I had a ULV output bus on here, which was actually voiding the output since this only holds one item. So I switched the output bus on our blast furnace to LV, which should now give us magnesium chloride dust. And yeah, this processes into small piles, which we're going to want to package. So we can just output this directly to a packager. And this is going to be on circuit 2. And then we'll plug it in. And then the magnesium dust we can just put straight back into our ME system. And the chlorine output can also just go straight back into this interface here. It should self-regulate when it needs more chlorine. And with that, I think we can call titanium automated, so long as we have the inputs, which are rutile and magnesium dust. Actually, let's check how much rutile we have. None in the system. Is there any here? No. Okay, so I might go and process up some more rutile just to have that going in the background. But for now, I think I'm going to set up the rest of our blast furnaces here. I would like to get steel and also stainless steel, their own dedicated blast furnace, because we are kind of running out of that. I did make up a batch of stainless, so there should be some somewhere here. Yeah, a couple of stacks there, but I think this is mostly all we have to our name. We have crafted a lot of HV machines recently. So yeah, I'm going to take some time and do that, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I got 2 blast furnaces up and running here. Got the iron fully automated, or sorry, the steel. So the way I have this set up here is very similar to the way I've done it in Omnifactory, where we have an interface for input, in this case iron and tiny piles of carbon. And actually we've run out of iron, so I'll need to process some more of that. But then that gets extracted on the brown channel, and then we have item filters for the carbon and the iron on these two, and then it just gets exported on blue. And in this pack, steel also takes oxygen input, which I have on the bottom. So underneath the blast furnace, we have our interface to supply us oxygen. That just goes in via fluid conduit. And this is just going to eat all of our iron until we have none left. So obviously that's not good. And so we want to control this. So we're going to machine controller the top face. And the machine controller will turn off the machine once it receives the redstone signal. So then we can use a level emitter and then connect this up to our ME system. And I think for the time being, since we don't have infinite iron, I'm actually going to level emit this for iron ingots. Once we get iron fully automated and we get ore processing set up, we can actually switch this over to steel so that it regulates on the amount of steel and not the amount of iron. But for right now, I think I want to just keep 2 stacks of iron at least. And we're going to invert this. So when levels are below 128, it's going to turn this off. So as you can see, it's already disabled this. So this won't consume any more iron. And now I'd like to do the same with the stainless, but the stainless is a little bit different. So stainless we actually have to craft here in, well, either a crafter or a mixer. Probably a crafter is going to be easier. So instead of sending the inputs straight into the input bus, we're going to put it into a crafter first instead. Yeah, we'll put it above the input bus here. And we want to set the stainless steel recipe. We'll hit apply. And then we'll filter the input of this crafter for each of the inputs to craft stainless steel. So it's going to be iron, chrome, manganese, and nickel. And we'll have to make sure to set the filter on this just so that it doesn't jam with the one item. We could use a limited item filter, but we can use this feature built into the crafter. This will also need some energy, so we'll give it a spectre coil. And now this crafts our stainless steel dust. And actually what I'm going to do is swap out the basic item filter for a limited item filter. And we're going to set this just for enough for one craft so that it doesn't buffer a full stack of items in this crafter. And then instead of level emitting the blast furnace, I think what we'll do is actually level emit this crafter. So we can switch this to on to act, or sorry, no, we want off to activate. And we're actually going to set this to chrome dust to regulate the amount of chrome we have. So I want to emit when levels are below 2 stacks again. So when we have less than 128 chrome dust, this is going to turn itself off. And then when we take out the stainless, it shouldn't craft anymore since it's receiving a redstone signal. And this will stop us from wasting all of our chrome, as it's used actually in a couple of different places. But yeah, all we need to do now is deal with the output. So if we just output this on blue, that'll send all the output of stainless steel ingots back into our system. And that's how we've automated steel and stainless. And I'm just going through here, I wonder if there's anything else we want to actually automate here. I think the rest of the stuff that we are capable of crafting right now, we're just going to be doing on demand. So I might set up another blast furnace here just to throw things in manually. But there is other things like tungsten steel and tungsten that we're going to want to automate, so we'll have to be adding more blast furnaces than this. But yeah, with that, I think that's about all the time we have for today. Doing all this crafting the last few days of all these machines has pretty much wiped us out of resources, so I've got a lot of resource collection to do. I'll try and prep some materials for next episode, and then we'll, I think, maybe try to progress to the next planet if we can. And that's going to require us to do some more blood magic and do some rituals, so I think we're going to look into that tomorrow. And we'll also need 8 blocks of titanium here for the warp core. So I'll process some rutile, but at least we have it automated now. So yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more FTB interactions.